Hello and welcome back to your mat. Today we are going to work on lubricating the joints of our body. This is especially important the fall time of year when things tend to get a little bit drier, including our joints. But it can really be done any time of year, so don't feel like you have to wait just for fall. So we will start with a quote by Thomas Merton, and then we'll get right into some joint lubrication. The quote is, "Happiness is not a matter of intensity, but of balance, order, rhythm, and harmony." So we are going to start seated. I'm actually going to sit up on my heels. You can sit up on a blanket if you'd like. You don't need any props for today's class necessarily, but if you'd like to sit up on a blanket, then you could use that, or sit on your heels, or you could just stay in a cross-legged position. From here, we're just going to start with some simple neck circles just to kind of warm up the joints of our neck, the bones in our neck here. So we're just going to go ahead and tuck the chin down toward the chest, and then bring that right ear over to the right, and then release back to the center, and bring that left ear over to the left, back to center, to the right, back to center, to the left, back to center, to the right once more, and back to center and to the left. So giving your neck muscles here a little warm up and a little stretch at the same time also. So when you're going to the other side, you're actually getting a stretch on the opposite side. Now we'll do just a couple of shoulder rolls here to help lubricate the shoulder joints. So go ahead and roll your shoulder joint back in space here, up and down and back into circles here. We'll go the other way in just a moment, so go ahead and do a couple rounds here like this. And then we'll go the other direction. So switch the direction that you were going and now roll the other way. So really just kind of giving our joints some lubrication. Sometimes they'll get kind of dry and they'll pop. You may hear a little bit popping right now. As long as there's no pain, that's okay. A little popping is part of it. All right, and from here we're going to go ahead, if you're on your heels, go ahead and come to a seated position here. And it doesn't matter which leg is crossed in front of the other. That's not important. Now we're going to do some rolls here with the pelvis. So we're just going to roll our pelvis in circles here. So around the front, to the left, back, and to the right. So just go in circles here one way. I'm going counterclockwise. You can always go, it doesn't matter which direction you go. We'll go the opposite way in a moment. And you can make these circles as big as you'd like, or they can be smaller. So just see what feels good in your body. We're kind of lubricating now the hip joint here a bit, the pelvis area. And we'll go ahead and switch directions and go the other way. This just feels really good on the body. Sometimes the body just needs a little extra loving and helps keep our joints lubricated as they age by doing some of these movements. And then come on back to center here. And now we're going to come onto all fours, and we're going to go into, from a low lunge, we're going to do a little movement here from lunges. So go ahead and come on to all fours, and we're going to go ahead and step that right foot forward into a lunge. So your back knee is still, your back left knee is still on the ground. And then go ahead and come upright and just kind of sink into that hip a bit there for just a moment. So we're going to kind of open up the hip flexor here a little bit, even though this is not necessarily a joint. It does help to open up the hip flexor area that will also feed into the joints. And then we're gonna go to the back of the mat through a move called skater's pose, is one of the names for it. So to do this, go ahead and just turn your front foot in about 45 degrees, and then come up on that back left foot, and then pivot around. So now I have to have my ankle off the ground. Your ankle may stay on the ground. If it does, that's great, but I'm not able to do that. And then you've got your left toes are pointed straight up. So if you need to look at the camera to see what I'm saying, we're going to move through this a few times, so the first one you see what we're doing here. So go ahead and stay upright for just a moment. Flex those toes. And again, your right heel may be off of the ground. Mine does not come down. That's just how my body works. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and shift over to the left side. So go ahead and bend that left knee and come into a low lunge on the left side. So now my back right knee is down on the ground, And now my left knee is forward on the back of my mat. So I know, a little confusing, huh? All right, and go ahead and drop into that a little bit. Go ahead and get that hip flexor, give it some love. Open that up. You may find that your hip flexors are really tight. If you need to back off this, go ahead. You don't want to overdo this, and you don't want to have pain. So find what works for you and back off if needed. Breathe here. And now we're going to go back to the front of the mat, so back to our right foot. So we're going to do another lunge there. So go ahead, and we're going to do that through that skater's pose. So go ahead and turn your left toes to a 45-degree angle. And now bring that right leg is out straight on the mat for you, and your toes are pointed up. And again, my left heel is off the ground, but yours may be on the ground. It just depends on your body. Breathe here, and now we're going to come forward. Bend that right knee forward, and now bring that left knee back down on the ground. We're back to our lunge now, facing the front of our mat. Breathe here, and then on the exhale, go ahead and bring that left hand down. We're going to do a twist to the right. So twist your torso and your upper body to the right and bring that right arm up overhead. Nice twist here. A nice breath there. And here we're helping to lubricate the spinal column here. And then go ahead and bring that arm down. And now you guessed it, we're going to go back to that same pose again. So go ahead and flip that left leg up. Your left toes are up. The right leg is bent. Stay here for a breath. And then we're going to go to the back of our mat. So we're going to bend that left knee, pivot around on that right, bring that right knee down, and come up to your low lunge. And don't worry if you got confused and you're facing the wrong direction. All you need to know is right now your left leg is bent and your back leg is on the ground. Go ahead and breathe here for a moment, and then go ahead and bring that right hand down to the ground and twist to your left here. And now we're going to bring that left arm up overhead. So again, we're getting a nice little spinal twist here, lubricating the spinal column. Breathing there. And one more time, we're going to come back to the front of our mat. So go ahead and flip those right toes pointed straight up. My left leg is bent. And now come on forward. And then you can go ahead and just come back to all fours. There's no good graceful way to do that one. So now we're going to come onto our backs, and we're going to work on our hip joints and our ankles a little bit here to finish up. So this is a quick class, but it's just great to help. You can run through this a couple times if you'd like, or stay longer into those poses that we already have done so far. So come onto your back. Just release everything into the mat for just a moment. So go ahead and have the soles of your feet on the ground. Just kind of see how you're feeling here right now. Hug your knees into your chest. Give them a good squeeze. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our knees as if we're drawing circles on the ceiling with our knees. So what's really moving here is going to be the hip joint. But you're going to bring your knees out to each side and around and back in toward the center. So you're really rotating your hip joint here, but you can imagine if you had like a marker pointed straight up on your knees and they would be drawing a circle on the ceiling, if that makes sense. So we're gonna go ahead and do this a few rounds, and we'll go the other way, so don't worry. Just go ahead and stick with this, going this way first. Legs are out, together and in, out, together and in. And you may definitely hear some popping in your hip joint, especially if they really need to have that extra lubrication. And then bring your knees back into your chest, hug them in, and now we're going to go the opposite direction. So go ahead and bring your knees out away from you, apart from each other, back in towards you into your chest. So now we're just doing circles the other direction. So go the opposite of what you did the first time. And make sure you remember to breathe during all of these poses, during all of yoga poses. You just breathe at your natural rhythm, what feels good for you. If you find that you're holding your breath or it's harder to keep your breath going, then you need to back off a bit, because that's just an indication that you've went too far or you're going too much. And then go ahead and hug your knees back into your chest again. And then I'm going to go ahead and just bring the left sole of my foot on the ground, and I'm going to keep that right leg pulled in toward my chest. And now we're going to take and we're going to circle the ankle joint. So it doesn't matter which direction you want to go here. Just go ahead and go with one, and then we're going to go switch in a minute to the other side, to the other direction. So just really give that ankle joint a nice several turns there. It's really good to work on the joints from time to time. Our body really can benefit from that, no matter our age, but especially as we do get older. The joints tend to need a little bit extra care. And then go the other direction with your ankle twist there, your ankle circles. You can get your toes involved. You can really get involved here with all the way down to your toes, your ankle. And then we're going to release that foot down to the ground, and we're going to hug that left knee into our chest now. And then same thing. Go ahead and give yourself some good ankle circles here. Doesn't matter which direction you go. We'll go the other direction. I'm really allowing my toes to also get involved here. Just feels good to give them a little stretch, especially if your feet are in shoes all day, whether, especially your high heels, or boots or whatever you might be wearing where your feet are all jammed up. It's nice to give them some time to be free. Hence why I love to wear sandals. I like my feet to be free. And we'll go the other direction with those circles. Might hear some snap, crackle, and pop. Oh, very nice. Okay, go ahead and bring both of your soles of your feet back down to the ground. And then for this last moment here, we're going to just bring our feet up into the air, our legs up into the air, so straight up in the air, and our wrists, we're going to have them nice and loose and ready to go. And now we're going to do two things at once. We're going to roll the wrist in circles, so pick whichever direction you want to go to begin with, and then you're going to point and flex your toes. So go ahead and give them a nice flex them back and then point them up toward the ceiling. And you may find this is a little bit challenging to do different things at the same time. So go ahead and give them a nice, you'll feel that in the back of your calf, especially when you're flexing your toes down and then pointing them up. And then go ahead and roll your wrist in the other direction while you're still pointing and flexing the feet. And you could even do a little, I'm doing one way and one the other. So you could, whatever you want to do here, play around with it. Release all of that in your joints. Shake it all out there. Give it a minute and just shake your legs and shake your arms. Hug your knees into your chest. And if you have the time, go ahead and lie back into Shavasana. You've still got some time here. So I'm going to give you like a minute in Shavasana. I'm going to come on up, but you go ahead and stay there and release your body into the mat. And this was a very short class, obviously, but just 15 minutes of moving the joints, moving the body. How do you feel now in this moment? So I highly suggest if you like this class or if this is something that, like, oh, that feels really good, maybe incorporate it into your routine once a week or every day or a couple times a week, whatever works for you. You can stay in Shavasana if you'd like. If you've got the time, go ahead and ignore my cues. Otherwise, go ahead and hug your knees into your chest, roll over to one of your sides, and push yourself back up to a nice seated position here. Thank you so much for letting me guide you in this practice, this wonderful, beautiful practice that keeps us hopefully youthful and healthy. Thank you again. Until next time.